we're doing this again. I'm here with my friend Michael Luchies. I put a lot on my plate today, but I started the last one with my friend Brandy Jordan at 11:11, and now it's 1:11. So we'll just say that numbers are rocking today. And now my wife called right in the middle of that. Perfect. Hey, Michael.
Hi.
Let's maybe because we're still workshopping this and we don't like the idea, and I don't have an intro video for it, so and no explanation other than just like let's go live. But what we're doing here is we want to meet once a week and workshop material for comedy bits. So specifically for you, you do stand up and experience stand up. I haven't, but one day I'd like to throw my neck out there and try it sometime. So we've been working on a book together. And out of that, we've had many conversations about what's funny. And so here we are. We're just going to work out loud or collaborate out loud. Maybe I should just stop talking. You say something.
Something. Yeah, and we've tried to work on some material for you. I know we have like a little bit of a start. We have different topics for you, at least some basic premises, but don't have all the jokes or the full set worked out yet.
Yeah, actually, when I think back to some of the stuff we worked on, obviously we go for the hair a bit because it kind of stands out. Wendy points that out all the time, where she's just like, "Why are people looking at us?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's why."
Does she forget?
I forget because I don't see it, right? Unless I'm looking in a mirror or looking at myself on this screen now, I honestly forget it's there. And sometimes I forget what color it is. I mean, most of the time it's purple, but it does fade to pink. It's kind of in candy floss land and probably due for some new stuff. But
Are mohawks that rare?
here, I mean, I'd say colorful ones. I see a lot of like natural colored mohawks. And that's where I started. That was the COVID haircut that hidden under a toque, and then it just slowly emerged. And then it was temporary dyes, and then eventually like, fuck it. It doesn't seem to be hurting anyone. So, including me.
Yeah, it's something that I was trying to play around with an idea that came to my head, like just because we talked about this before, but you being so white and thinking of like playing off of diversity of hair, but I don't think that has any legs there.
No, it does. And maybe we should inform me being so white. Yeah. So we're talking about 23andMe and the fact that mine is like 99.67% Whitey McWhiterson, straight from the UK. I had this conversation this week too. I don't know where this is going, but two human types way back when. One's extinct, and then it's not Cro-Magnon. What words am I looking for now? Oh no, on the spot. Neanderthal, and then whatever. What a great start. Anyways, we all have like, you do 23andMe, we're all like 0.25 left over from that. So I remember going down a rabbit trail one night on YouTube, and that it was quite a whole thing that I don't remember clearly. But other than
okay,
there was
with what that meant, the northeastern or whatever it was.
Two different, I almost described like two different body types. You know, one was much more, I don't know, but one wiped out the other in some form, like way back when. Man, I'm really not helping.
No, that's all right. No, for some reason that so saying like one wiped out the other. I was working on this crazy bit. I couldn't get it to work. There's my cat Nacho, if anybody's watching. I was working on this crazy bit. So I'm pretty sure I mentioned this, that I have a third nipple. So it's called a supernumerary nipple. It's much more common in women than men. But I was working on this. So I was born on Halloween. So there's all like the spooky stuff, and there's also the fact that if I was born an hour and a half earlier than when I was born, my name instead of Michael would have been Garrett, because I would have been born exactly 100 years to the day of like my great grandfather, whose name was Garrett, who was born October 30th, 1884. I was born October 31st, 1984. So, anyways, I was working on this crazy bit where like that would come into play, and then the third nipple was actually that's Garrett, so that's Gary, and it's like I have this alternate persona. Like the weird parts of me are actually Gary, and this is his nipple that I have, and like I couldn't get it to. It was too wild for like how I don't know reserved I am as a stand-up comedian. But I was trying to work on it, and I had a couple other comedians try to encourage me to go after that. But it was pretty crazy.
So many things there. For one, I forgot that you had that, and I thought you were doing a bit, and then I was like, "Oh, wait,
No, I actually have a third nipple. It's
like, I
little.
paused, and I was like, "Oh, where's this going?" And I was like, "Oh, right, you did say that." But then I imagined you could have like a shirt where you know you got a cutout for your head. But you could have one for a cutout for the third nipple. Like,
My brother wanted me to get tattoos 1, 2, and 3 on the next to each one. But yeah, it got pointed out while I was a camp counselor at a summer camp in front of the whole camp because all the guys had our shirts off of summer. And there was just one counselor like, holy shit, you have a third nipple. And I was like, no, that's a mole. They're like, no, look, it has its own hair around it. And then like there's like 300 people staring at it. I'm like, okay, yep, I guess that's what it is. And it was.
Well, and that's one of those moments, like as a kid, like it draws attention to you, wanted or unwanted, right? And then like, there's a
charge. It was unwanted for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of what heals is being able to laugh about it and reflect on it and go, because I've never known anyone with third nipple, and I think even when you told me, I forgot that I knew you, so my brain defaulted back to, could someone have? Like that's where my brain went, and so I was like, oh, this is a bit, like they wouldn't, right? But you do, so
there was like, and I remember researching it for comedic purposes, and there was all this stuff. I think it was in Rome, like ancient Roman times, where like women would be more desirable. They were seen to be like more, I don't know if it was more godly or something, but like if they had extra ones, it was like a huge deal that all the guys would go after.
Well, what's that movie with not with Bruce Willis?
Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
Yeah.
There was a woman with, was that Total Recall where there's a woman with a third?
I think so.
Okay.
Mutant woman on Mars.
3 breasts. She didn't just have the nipples. She has like full breasts.
Yeah,
I think so.
But then you got me thinking about the third eye and the pineal gland, and I just finished having a cool conversation talking about meditation, and I've been talking to people about Kundalini experiences, and you look back to all the old mythology, there's always a third eye right there, right? Yeah. And if you start tapping into the pineal gland and all that, you'll see that it's a socket. And so like we actually physically, like at some point there was an eye. And then if you follow all the mythology, like is that the head of a snake that goes the serpent down the spine? And that's what a Kundalini experience is. And so, yeah, of course there's an eyeball stuck in the middle of your head, and you just need to reactivate it by I'll stop going tinfoil hat. But
oh, no, you're fine. No, when you said like, well, what movie was that? I was like, oh, I'll just Google it. And then I'm like, no, I don't think I do want to Google about a third breast. Like, woman with 3 breasts. Like, my wife checks my browser history. Like, wait, why are you searching that?
Yeah, or if it thinks that you're into that, what else is it going to suggest? So,
some interesting ads. I start seeing like bras for people with 3 boobs.
That is a whole path you could follow of like what, like does the algorithm for ads start going, this guy's into 3 boobed women, we could create a product. And so it actually generates a company that then creates products.
Is there any way to pause for a second? I'm hearing actual crying. It's not just somebody upset. There's actual crying upstairs. I need to go for a second.
Do what you got to do.
All right, I'll be right back.
Hello, darling.
Hello.
I'm on a podcast, so if you don't want to be part of this stream.
You're on a podcast?
Yeah. So,
okay.
But Michael's gone to deal with his baby, so.
I came to take her to the vet, and then just as I was almost here, they're like, she's gone long in surgery, can you come at 2:30? So I'm like, oh. So I guess I'll go upstairs.
Okay. So is it canceled for today, or you're just taking it later?
No, I'm taking her in an hour, but I rushed home to get her.
Oh, does she need to go today? There's nothing urgent, right?
I need to take her for her shots.
Yeah, but is it convenient for you right now, or do you just want to schedule for another
it's
time?
just, if I had known it was going to be an hour later, I wouldn't have left the office when I did. But
Yeah.
okay.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'll probably.
Well, I'm just hanging out live on Facebook. People could watch me eat my peanut butter sandwich.
Oh my god. Is she been out in Philly?
Yeah, she's been out a bunch. She's been really good.
That's good. She slept through the night again last night.
Actually, I'll bring her on here. She's the eye candy.
Pardon?
I'll bring her on. She's the eye candy.
Yeah, she's getting really big.
This is what people really want to see, right? Willow. Hey, Willow. Yeah, look at the camera. Hello, everybody. Check, check. Is this thing on? Hello. Nice coat.
Is the microphone on right now?
Yeah, might as well. There he is.
We got actual fighting. So
Oh yeah. I mean, do you need some more time, or?
no, I they said they'll be all right. So we'll see. Somebody wanted to change the radio station. The other one didn't want that. And somebody called somebody stupid. I'm not sure who. And then somebody hit somebody else, and somebody pulled somebody else's hair. And sounds like a lot of fun.
I wonder who those people were. Were they your children? What are you protecting at that point? They just don't have names.
If they were just random people upstairs, yeah, that wouldn't be good.
Suspect number 1 and suspect number 2.
Right. I don't have the time. Yeah. No use to getting to the bottom of it right now. I'll figure that out later. But
you know what?
Nobody's bleeding. There's no, gouged eyeballs or massive head trauma.
Well, and maybe it's none of your business to work it out for them. Now that I've got a puppy and a larger dog, and like, I know with other dogs, we just immediately would interfere if they're working it out. But like, they're mammals. They're trying. One's going to be the alpha, one isn't. Let them figure it out, and then they can get on with their days. But we as humans keep interfering, telling them not to do that, and then they're like, dude, what the fuck? And they get confused. They don't have a lot of thoughts. So can you imagine how much we condition our pets to not be themselves?
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, it's interesting stuff upstairs. All right. So we were randomly talking about third nipples and stand-up content and stuff. So I could go over what I had started last time and then had to cut off because it was too
I want to
earshot.
I want to explore where I thought you were going.
Okay.
Which is, would AI eventually start creating companies for products or things that we're searching for that don't exist?
Oh yeah.
So if you start searching for 3 boobs, and if like 20 of us did it, the AI would pick up and go, oh, it's hit a flag, start a company that is going to make this product because we see some demand. There's got to be a joke in there somehow of just how you.
Yeah, probably. Right now I'm just thinking about business related stuff. I mean, I'm surprised already. Think of the awesome images you create. Is there already a way to like order a t-shirt with one of those images that you create with AI? Because I could see that coming very soon. Like as soon as you create it, say, hey, do you want to buy this on a t-shirt?
I mean, you can do
stickers, whatever.
Physically as a human within like 3 or 4 minutes, depending how fast you click. So, and those things can be automated. So yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
But I'm surprised they don't have it set up for you already. Like, here's the 10 things you can buy with this. I mean, they do that with my kids' artwork. I get emails every week saying, oh, here's his artwork for the week. Here, keychain, water bottle, coffee mug, portrait, it's crazy. Every single one, like, oh, and 0.2% of it goes to your school, so you're doing a good thing too. It's like, give me a break, get out of here.
Talk about the guilt. Like, oh, if I don't buy this, I don't love my kid. None of us need a fucking another keychain for one.
Marketing.
Right? Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, I could tear down every industry at this point, right? You go to get professional photographs taken, and then you have to buy like 8.5 by 11s when really it's just the photo. and then you get into the argument of like, but I'm a professional photographer. I'm like, I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max. Like, I just need to like point at something that looks good, and
Right.
like, if it looks good to my eye, it's probably gonna do the trick. So we're just gonna see so many things collapse once everyone realizes, oh, we're all doing it. We're all...
Yeah, my kids already. I've long had a phrase that it's all marketing, and so now when there will be like a commercial on TV, even if it's for something they would like, they say they just want us to make them money. They just want us to buy stuff. I'm like, you gotta put. I don't know if it's good they know that at this point or bad they know that at this point, but
That's good
yeah,
awareness.
it's just marketing.
Yeah, no, that's a good start. So where were you going to go with the 3 boobs? Which is how
Nowhere, absolutely nowhere. That was just part of the. You said something about like your 2 blends of white people killing each other and fighting, something like within yourself fighting, and then I thought of the weird Gary third nipple idea that I had a long time ago that is probably buried in my notes somewhere. I have over 70 pages of random notes for stand-up, and I guarantee it's in there. And I've trimmed some of it at some point too. Most of it's completely useless.
Well, let's ask the question, because that joke maybe could be expanded. Why did you call him Gary?
Because that's what my name was going to be. So my name was going to be Garrett if I was born an hour and a half earlier. So Gary. That's why.
Right.
So yeah, if anytime we just go down like the rabbit hole of my I could just find random bad jokes that I came up with years ago.
Yeah, well, do that. Let's reach into your memory banks.
Okay. Well, this was a premise I never figured. My wife tried to ask, so I was trying to help out with certain things, and I'm bad at pretty much everything that I don't already know. She asked me to buy a hamper because I put wet towels in a hamper because I thought a hamper was for wet towels. But apparently it's for dry towels because I ruined the hamper. So she told me to buy a hamper that could fit 8 large towels in it and asked if I could handle it. So of course, I mean, how hard could that be, right? So I started searching hampers to find one that can fit 8 large towels, which was the instructions she gave me. First one I searched was 24 by 13.5 by 20. The second one holds up to 50 pounds of towels. And the third size was 1.5 bushels. I could not find anything that I could comfortably assume, online at least, would fit 8 large towels. Why does it have to be so complex? We're talking about a freaking hamper for towels. So that's the premise I have so far.
The reason I didn't laugh is I spent the first 30 seconds going, "What's a hamper?" Like
what do you guys call them?
Well, no, I think it's a hamper, but in
like
my mind,
towel basket. Is it something kind of fancier?
Well, like if you throw your dirty clothes into something, that's the laundry hamper, right?
Yeah.
But then you got talking about clean clothes, and I'm like, no, that's the closet. That's where I go to find them. So then my brain.
Not clean, just dry. What the problem is, I was putting wet towels in it, and it's supposed to be dirty but dry towels go in the hamper because the wet ones create mold. That's what I did. And then we threw away the towels and the hamper, and then I tried to buy the hamper, but there's nothing that says this hamper fits 8 towels. It was measured in inches, bushels, and pounds. One was measured in how many pounds it could hold.
I think I got the premise of the joke, but it's so funny. You know how we talk about word economy all the time with the book? Like,
oh yeah,
there's so my brain was like, "What's a hamper again?" Because you confused me with the clean and dirty. And then you said hamper about 9 times, and I was like, "Oh, he's really focused on the hamper."
Because this is not it's not even a finished setup, and it's not a joke. There's no word economy. It's just like me jotting down the idea for something.
Right. So how complex they make that? Yeah.
One really bad one I tried like 4 different times is I tried to work off of the idea of Why isn't there a God bless you for farts? This was a long time ago. I came up with this.
Mm.
You know, so here's what I had. I don't know how.
Like, because if someone sneezes, you
Yeah.
say, God bless you.
Right.
But if you fart, generally, well, yeah, I'll let you go with the joke.
I don't even know if this makes sense. So yeah, okay. There's no God bless you for farts. We say God bless you when somebody sneezes, but why? Scientists say that the sensation you get when you sneeze is equivalent to 1/8 of an orgasm. So it sounds like the sneezer is already blessed. So maybe this is awful. Maybe those tissues aren't for snot after all. Too far?
No, that's fine.
On the other end, literally, when you fart, it cancels out an orgasm. That doesn't make sense. So what should we say? God bless you and Gesundheit are taken. It's already happened, so I don't think have a nice fart works either.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this looks like where it dropped off. I know at some point I had a finished punchline for the joke, but I did that several times, and like it eventually got a laugh, but like none of the parts at the beginning there that I thought were gonna get laughs got laughs at all. Like people did not like that idea at all.
Really? I think there's definitely something to work with there. Sorry, I just let the dog out. I think the premise is funny because it's true. Makes me think of Eddie Murphy and Delirious, where he was talking about fart jokes and in the bathtub and stuff. Like that was a big part of that was everybody's routine at school for weeks. It was funny. Fart jokes were funny, but his premise was like that you would sneak up on someone, like, oh, you got me. My mouth was open and stuff, right? Like it's that kind of stuff that like that kind of humor that you just don't hear about anymore. Yeah, something else you said there though. Oh, and I got thinking. So, God bless you. From my understanding, is that the idea is that when you sneeze, you're getting rid of spirit or something. You're getting rid of some demons. And you think about when you do breath work, they breathe out to breathe out. To me, it's breathe out stress is more through the mouth and anxiety through the nose. And I think I've explained to you why that before, but yeah, it's super interesting because. And then what'd you say about sneezes and 1/8 of an orgasm?
Yeah, which was like, it was a rumor. It's not even like, I don't think scientists actually believe that. There obviously is a sensation, some kind of sensation after you sneeze. I mean, it does kind of feel good, but it's not like that was some random rumor that I believed was true. And then looked up and apparently that's been debunked, but it was a very common rumor for a while.
Well, so Wendy makes fun of me all the time. So I might as well just share this, but I like sticking a Q-tip on my nose and I just like swirl it around to make myself sneeze. That's how I get rid of headache sometimes. It's such a violent, and I kind of view it as like get out of me. I never thought of it being orgasmic. It was more like it changed the scenery. Like if I had a headache, it gave me something else, right? And sometimes it was just some sort of like metaphysical release. But it is kind of like I like it. Like it, I wouldn't say I don't know sure about 1/8 of an orgasm, but whatever it is, like, I didn't mind that. My family doesn't like it because I'm a very loud sneezer. It's like quite loud. So she always knows when I'm using the Q-tips. Put it that way.
All right, I got another really bad joke and then a premise. I don't mind sharing the really bad jokes. This one I came up with randomly one time. A ghost made fun of me because I can't walk through walls. Well, I guess for ghosts, it's okay to body shame. Yeah, most audiences see right through that one. But at least you didn't boo. It's so bad. It still amuses me to tell bad jokes, even though like when the audience really doesn't like it. But the ones like that, they're just so dumb. But still, I came up with it, and I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, well,
every comedian has a couple that they do like just for them. Norm Macdonald was known for that too. He would know ones were gonna bomb after testing it, like all the dress rehearsals, everything, and still do it and just enjoy it and have a big smile on his face and get nothing during the live tapings of SNL.
Well, that was what part of what was so charming about him. Like he would make these long stories, and you like almost forgot what he was talking about, right?
Yeah.
But like to be strategic with that and enjoy. I've heard some people. Was it? I think Bill Burr was talking about it recently. Like enjoying the pause. Like
Mm,
once, like I guess when comedians get so big, they want the big laughs, but they also want that 1 second pause because it lets them know that they're in control of the room. Like they can
okay.
raise the temperature and lower it. And I think that's what
Yeah.
makes a great comedian work is they're weaving in this storytelling and they don't just go bang bang bang. But
Oh
what you
yeah.
had was 4 solid dad jokes strung together. So you could probably so funny when I was on that hypnosis course, kept talking about metaphors and for hypnosis, and you embed metaphor or stories within stories, and then circle it back up to the top. And so, in hypnosis, you can actually deliver what the person needs to hear without them recognizing that you've fed them that information. It's very interesting with how you might be able to do that with a dad joke. Create like a secular dad joke that forms in the perfect little point in the center.
Yeah.
A new kind of joke.
Yeah. I have a lot of dad joke ones. I've had several comedians tell me like you gotta stop telling dad jokes.
Why?
Like you're really good. I can tell you're a good writer. Just stop the dad jokes. Like
One of my favorite bits in recent is the band Steel Panther. They're sort of like a mock metal band.
heard of. I think I'm pretty sure I've heard the name.
It's a really fun concept. They're kind of like a combination of every metal band in the 80s and 90s, but they
Okay.
actually have their own songs and they travel around doing shows. Like it looks like an awesome gig. But they do this thing called Who's Your Daddy? Because they have a YouTube channel. Because you get to know the band and the characters like more so than you would a lot of other bands. They give you access to their characters.
Okay.
And so they've got this bit called Who's Your Daddy? And it's just always two of them sitting in chairs trying not to break while the other one tells each other a dad joke. And that's sort
Okay.
of the way it's delivered. Like it's those jokes work. They just need the right uh, either setup or forum, right? But
They do. Yeah. In the right forums, not like stand-up comedy room usually.
no, I'm
Like
not saying you maybe can, but it might be that
yeah.
like, people expect dad jokes to kind of land with a certain thump. Maybe there's just something that's like I don't know. It'd be something. I'm gonna think about that for you for a bit. There's something there.
Yeah. I can't remember all of them, but I had so many dad jokes. Like even jokes about how many dad jokes I would be doing.
Who's when we talking about the cable guy? What's his name? Dan the cable guy or the comedian?
Oh, Larry the Cable Guy. How he's like a classically trained opera singer.
Yeah, like his
An
actual
intelligent guy.
background, his day job or whatever is not being a cable guy, right? But he created a persona around that. Like, is there a dad joke persona?
I thought about that because, yeah, every stand-up comedian, especially ones who are just starting, everyone wants to have that persona figured out, and very few. I would say like 1%. That's a complete random guess, but pretty much none of them starting out have like a well-defined persona. And so I was even asking people that knew me or even just knew me online, like, what do I look like? Like trying to feed into that, like the perception and who I am and my sense of humor and what that made them think of and trying to create a persona around that. What I kept getting was like white dad. So I thought about that, trying to go off of, because I'd be fine doing all clean comedy too and something around that, but I don't know. I couldn't find anything that really worked. Still
I
trying
think,
to figure that out. Persona's very hard to nail down.
yeah, I'd explore that, man. Because you like I know that you what do you call it, airband stuff. Like you're not just standing there at a mic. You're a physical. You're ready to be physical if you want to.
I would. I don't have like physical bits. I've tried to do little things before, but I don't know. Sometimes I just get nervous. I just stand there because I'm not somebody who does a lot of crowd work. I don't walk around a lot because I'm having to structure everything in my head a certain way where I know my set. And like that's that's my comfort, is knowing the jokes that I'm going to do pretty much like, perfectly. Like where I'm even planning out things to seem like they're imperfect. Like, not like the comedy's perfect, but you know what I mean? Everything's very planned. Every bit of it's planned. Even pauses are planned. And I'm sure I'm overthinking it, but that's just how like I need to be to feel comfortable doing it.
All day. Sorry, I'm just getting a phone call. I can't hear you.
Okay.
Sorry. That was so weird. You were talking and then you just like flashed off the screen there.
I flashed off the screen? Well, that's better than flashing on screen. Yeah. See, that joke.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting, man, because like when when I think about wanting to go up on stage and try this sometime, I can already feel the terror of like just eyes watching, right? And so you want to go up and be prepared. You want to know what you're going to say. And then, so yeah, that's really interesting. But what I think is really helpful is stuff like this. Like I'm finding that the more I just like sit there and just talk and just relax and be myself and be transparent, the easier it's getting. So even when we do this every week, it'd be interesting to see how you feel in a couple of weeks about just kind of like, man, kind of just getting comfortable.
Yeah, but what I need is to work out the specific material and the jokes and have those ironed out, like to feel comfortable with the set. Like this does help. I don't know if you're doing the same ones over and over and you're refining them, then I think that helps. Like this definitely helps with overall confidence, but not as far as like having a specific, set list that I'm gonna then go off of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I'd say keep exploring that. We'll keep talking about that.
Okay.
Back to bits.
What are you thinking? You want me to find another random bad joke? Do you want me to go back to the idea that I tried to bring up last week? What are you feeling?
What was the one last week? I'm still thinking about that third nipple thing. I don't think that's worth getting rid of. There's so many things there.
I had something around it at one point. It just wasn't great. Oh, well, the part that I had developed was different than what I said about like the person living in me or whatever, Gary.
But you could like weave. There's so many ways you could take that. Like Gary, it was. I think you were saying like it might have been your twin, and you absorbed him, and so now he popped out, and so now you need to create like a little window so he could see the world, and then you start with that with the t-shirt cut, and then you could also go down a whole path of where what Gary's life had been had things been reversed, and what if you were the nipple, and then your perspective. Like you could take that in so many different directions, and before you know it, it's a 5-minute story.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, and it's something that you can relate to, even the feelings of it from as a kid, where someone points it out, and it's because you're different because of that. And so they decided for you that it was a weird way to be different when none of their fucking business. Really. So it's just different. It's cool. Yeah, how is that your superpower? And then when I started thinking about human design, like, is that in his design? I wonder if you could get that.
That's a good question.
What happened with the biology or the onboarding sequence?
Sometimes I would go for walks and just come up with random one-liners. Most of them aren't that funny. I just have to win one more bet to pay for gambling rehab. That was one walk I came up with that. Thought that was an interesting concept because it's expensive. Like, how is somebody with a gambling problem really going to afford gambling rehab? There's all these commercials for gambling rehabilitation centers here. They're expensive. So what are you, that seems like a very hard thing to pay for if you're struggling with gambling.
There's so many jokes you can go. Actually, let me ask you a question about gambling casinos in your area.
Yeah.
Gambling casinos here, free parking. But the hospitals, you have to pay for parking. Right? So there's people throwing their money away and not having to pay for throwing their money away. And these are approved, like where some of the money's going to charity or whatever they're saying is happening, which is just buying bigger and fancier desks for government. So like really that's the charity that's getting reimbursed. Anyways, it just makes me furious that you have to pay for parking at a hospital to go, wish someone goodbye. But
and
it's
if you owe your bookie money or are getting surgery at the hospital, either way, there's a chance you might not walk out of there. The casino or the hospital.
I mean, there's a lot of related jokes there that could really work because
going to the hospital can be gambling as well. They're both.
Oh, honestly, so my dad was in the hospital a couple months ago for a couple of days, and I had just gotten into or really became aware of the concept of earthing or grounding. Right, the idea is just get your feet in the ground because we're wearing rubber sole shoes all the time, and so we're basically these batteries.
Oh yeah,
and that's why we're having diseases and stuff. Right, you start looking at the stats, and it's like, the only animals that get cancer are pets. That's because they're indoors too. Like they're not in the ground all the time. Animals that are in apartment buildings and shit, they're just on concrete on top with carpet on top, right? So these animals are getting sick with us. So it's just like insane. So my dad's in the hospital, and he's already feeling super shitty. And what do? They have him on a bed on these giant rubber wheels connected to all this electrical equipment. So talk about like the least close proximity to the earth, like the elements, air, water, touching stuff. So it's insane. So I don't know where I was going with that other than, I would say if I was dying, I'd just go to a casino.
At least
because
you're probably going to spend less money.
Yeah, you're going to die if you go to the hospital and you're not taking care of your body. It's really what it comes down to these days.
And look at the people at the casino; they're not taking care of their body, and they're still alive.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they're all being plied with alcohol, which is basically just preserving their livers, right? So they're just, they're pickled. They're all pickled. It's probably the only reason I'm alive for a while there. Just was drinking too much, so it was nicely pickled. Now I've reversed it, and it's a different animal. But yeah, all right, I'm gonna bring the dog in. Hello, come on. Cookie. All right. Girl. It's very sweet.
I found some other dad jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is part of this I've done before, but then the other part I didn't. So I've been gaining weight. I asked my doctor why I'm getting so heavy. He said, Michael, I screwed that up. I've been gaining weight. I asked my doctor why I'm getting so heavy. He said I'm light sensitive. And then he says, get this, Michael, stop asking me about your weight. I'm an optometrist. Yeah, I told that joke.
It just took a second. Because that last joke's unrelated, but that's a great turn.
I told that joke at a bifocal convention, and I got twice the laughs. What? And why do we gain or lose weight? You don't gain a hat. You get one. You don't gain a girlfriend. You lie until they're impressed. You might not gain a girlfriend, but you can lose one. Have you ever been to an IKEA? I thought about the punchline to losing a girlfriend being that I had a dead girlfriend, but I don't think it's past the statute of limitations yet. That's all I had with that one.
It's so interesting because I'm thinking about the process of when you're reading these to me as well.
Yep.
You're not delivering it the way you would if it was on stage because it is funny. But
close.
Because you're reading it,
I would be delivering it a little bit different. Yeah.
Because then I'm like I'm trying to connect it. I think I'm finding myself overanalyzing it. So if I'm not responding it's not funny. It's not that the delivery is the cadence isn't prepared. So then I'm like, oh, right, we're back to the premise. What was the premise? And like before, I got stuck in the word hampers. I was like, I don't even understand the premise.
And when I deliver, like, and this was advice, I'm usually more deadpan. I'm not going to laugh at my own jokes. I'm not that kind of comedian. There are some that can do that very well. It doesn't work for me. I've tried doing that. It doesn't. If I look like I'm just having fun or like laughing at my own jokes, like I bomb. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, anything? Should we start on a couple jokes for you? What? How do we go
sure.
after that?
Well, I'm still thinking like, how would I even do something, right? I think we talked about before if you were to do like a amateur night, it's 3 minutes, 2 minutes or something. So you pretty much
3 to 5. Usually the 5. I think you said there is one place near you that does 3. I've done one. I've done a couple 3-minute sets. One in Dallas, a really busy comedy club with like a lot of comics.
Mm-hmm.
If it's really busy, they'll probably do 3 minutes just because there's a lot of people I need to get through.
So in my head, I'm kind of like doing like, okay, how much time do you have? Am I telling a story? Is it going to be a series of hits? And like from the one I went to where I kind of just observed that one night, even with those 3 minutes, almost all of them went up and would be like stand there and look around, and we're doing this sort of like they were killing their time, right?
Really? Okay.
And then like scanning the crowd, and pretty much all of them insulted someone in the crowd right off the bat. Like it seemed to be that they had all developed a shtick of the same shtick, and it was so I was like, I don't think I want to do that if I were to go there. But then thinking like, how do you start even a bit? And then I guess back to your question, like, do you just start with the hair? Do I start with something that is the exact opposite of what I look like, so that it's, you know what I mean? Like, where do you start?
Yeah, I mean, if you're at open mic, I've done a decent amount of them. You can make a joke based on what the audience has just seen. You don't want to go a couple comics back; they won't remember. I've done that and it's bombed. But I've done a couple. I've had ones where like I followed somebody who looked exactly like me, so I played off of that. Believe it or not, there's like 10 comics in this area who look exactly like me. I'm very generic looking. Bald white guy with a beard around here is like a dime a dozen, man. Who has previous trauma and wants to do stand-up comedy. It's like everybody who looks like me tries to do it here.
Well, so yeah, I guess what you're getting at is I have an advantage because of this goofy peacock thing going on in my head. That like, it's so funny when I think about it. Like I'm sure there's just jokes about how it evolved. The people that are most interested in it are not who I thought. And then it's just the lowest maintenance haircut I've ever had. Like it's the easiest thing in the world to do. So to me, it's just about being lazy. And then because I usually in the summer, because it's pretty short, it's like having Velcro for my baseball caps too, right? So like it's the Swiss Army knife of haircuts in a way. Oh, and I can color coordinate. Like for a friend's wedding, I asked his bride what her bridal color was, and so because it was just like I would just be showing up as me but with a different color. I just thought it was quite strategic that I would just knew 3 weeks out the next time I dye it, I would have it blue instead. So I showed up with looking like a Smurf. So
what if like one of the little tags on your joke was that you just got your haircut at the groomer, like the dog groomer.
Mm-hmm.
You have dogs. I've seen there's a couple people with like poodles with pink streaks and different. I've seen them around here, so I don't know if that's common in your neck of the woods, but I think people would laugh at that, like if you led to that.
Yeah. Like I've only actually had it cut professionally once.
Okay.
And it was because I really thought there was a lot to the hair dye process, which there is. Like if you're going to do it properly with layers, and especially a woman's hair that's long and lots of it. But then once I paid $200 to basically do what I mean, it doesn't look amazing, but I really don't care. It cost me nothing. So I don't know where I was going with that, other than it's an economical haircut that's allows me to be unique, which then gives me permission to get away with others, not get away with, try other stuff. so it's playful.
What else are you trying to get away with, Sean?
I'm not trying to get away with anything. I just want to not stress or be afraid anymore. So pretty much showing up playful it's taken work, but it feels good. So yeah, it softens the blow when people get to know me.
Yeah, I know the one we had talked about. The one opener we had talked about is what was it like? Despite the way I look, I'm not a lesbian. I think that was.
Oh yeah.
One of the ones we had. What are the thoughts?
Because I was talking about Mr. T, because he had a mohawk, and then still has a mohawk, I guess. And there was some jokes you can go there. Oh yeah, it was like, does a mohawk make me look tough like Mr. T? But there was some sort of interplay with Katie Lang. I can't remember why, and that's how then we got into the lesbian part, and then yeah, I forget how we tied those two together. Actually, it's so funny. Do you remember?
A little bit. Let's start with the elephant in the room. I'm not a lesbian. I was going for Mr. T, but it came out more like Katie Lang. And with a normal haircut, I look like somebody who would hate them both. That is a good line. I'm proud of that. That's a good.
Well, that comes back to the Whitey McWhiterson thing, right?
I'm good with that. I'm proud of that line.
Yeah. Okay. So that's that is already probably a way to start, right? Where you just, like you said, the elephant in the room, and then would you stay on the hair track? Or
you could. I didn't have a punchline for it, but the next line I had, like, right now I look like I'm trying to find the nearest protest. Then you could add in so many things like what protest you would be going to, like jokingly based on your appearance. And
yeah, that's a whole avenue.
Yeah, so I mean, for your first time, I think that's an easy way to potentially get laughs when you don't have a persona developed and people don't know you. And I think that's
When it's it's like light, self-deprecating, but that I'm comfortable with it. Like and
it's clever too.
Sorry?
And it's clever too. It's not a dad joke. It's not something brilliant either, but it shouldn't be. It's something to kind of soften things up and have somebody say, "Oh, I think this guy could be funny," and want to hear more.
So is there a form? So like thinking about formulas or strategies, because like there I'm talking about having a bit to kind of just get comfortable, sort of set the bar for the next part of the conversation, right? So, but you start doing a couple gigs somewhere and you're going to need a new one. So is that a technique? Like the idea is to have the crowd be comfortable that you're at the same level, like we're having a conversation? Is that really kind of what you're doing? Is like you're disarming yourself for them? That seems to be an effective strategy anyways.
It's one approach. It's not the one everybody takes. No, I mean, it's hard. You got to have a lot of confidence in a defined persona if you want to go in the other direction. I mean, you look at Ricky Gervais or Anthony Jeselnik. You don't. Oh man,
Anthony Jeselnik.
Yes, I'd encourage you to watch like 20 minutes of his.
Okay, I'll write that down.
Just the most crude jokes, and he positions himself as like better than everyone, and he has the look and the attitude to make you believe that he thinks that. Like that he hates everyone, that he believes these crazy things. I mean, he pulls it off. So like you don't have to be on the same level as the audience, but if you're not, you have to go all in. You can't tiptoe. You have to be like so unlikable that you're likable, if that makes any sense. Like there's that extreme that people can be like, they can get the bit. They can get that you're trying to be so unlikable and that they actually like you because they respect like how good of a job you're doing or how much fake confidence you have, and they want that confidence too.
But at that point, you're definitely being a caricature of yourself, I guess.
Correct. Which is what I think most of really good stand-up comedians do. They're amplified version of a part of themselves.
I want them out again. How do you spell Jesselnick?
That is a very good question. I've been watching him for years, and I don't. It is Jesselnik.
Yeah, it's funny. I haven't come across that name before.
Yep, Jesselnik, and I'm pretty sure he has a couple specials that are viewable on Netflix. I know he has a new one coming out soon.
I'll probably recognize his face. I'm sure it's come across my YouTube before, but just never.
Yeah, he got in a lot of trouble because he had a show, and there was a guy in Australia who got eaten by a shark, and he did this whole thing. He had shark dancers, women come out in shark costumes, and he was congratulating the shark for eating the person. And like he just went all in. Like he was like, "This is the greatest thing ever." And then so obviously, like it did not go over well in Australia, and he was getting death threats, and people were threatening like either his mom or his sister, and said like they were going to kill his sister. And he was saying, come after me, but if you kill my sister because of a joke I did, then I am a legend forever. Like that is the best case scenario for me. Like basically saying if they kill, like just that the death threats are actually a good thing. Like it's very, very well done.
Yeah, you'd have to be a big picture thinker to even just tie that in and piece that together. That's interesting. I'm looking forward to checking that out. What were we talking about right before that?
Your stand-up, just ideas. I don't know.
No, I mean, before you mentioned that guy's name. Because
being on the same level like as your audience and the approach. So it would all depend on your persona. It'd be a part of that. Whether you're on the same level and you're just having a conversation, whether you're doing more observational humor and crowd work, or if you're posing yourself as like better than or below than. I know there's good comedians. There's really good examples of like all of those. A below then would be Nate Bargatze, who's a clean comic. He's fantastic. He positions himself as like, I'm dumber than everybody here, but he's not at all. He's extremely smart.
Yeah.
He just figured that out. He's from the South. He has a tiny bit of a draw, and he even had to like change his facial appearance and everything to make himself look more dumb. He looked too smart for a while, so he had to like dumb down his appearance too.
That's interesting. I've noticed that on because I watch a lot of his bits and rewatch them because I think it's really funny. And he had like short, almost like a bowl cut before, and so
and clean baby face, and he just didn't look like what he sounded like or his like overall persona. So he grew out some facial hair and changed his look a bit, and he exploded. Netflix specials and selling out stadiums, and I've seen him live, and he was fantastic.
That's cool. I mean, you need to have a strategy. Did you see? I think it was either Sting or Stuart Copeland. They were on Howard Stern. It was Sting on Stuart Copeland. He was talking about the police and how effectively what he said was they knew they were great musicians, but reggae was hot and punk was hot. So what they were just like, let's just throw it in a stew. Like it was purely strategy. Like it wasn't really like they kind of formed like a micro super group almost knowingly. I'm sure on reflection that's how it felt, and at the time it was just more like, hey, they were really strategic minded, and we're like, we don't need someone to tell us that it sounds like this or sounds like that. They were just they had a goal, right? In Canada, that's the Nickelback effect.
Okay. Is Nickelback popular there?
No. Well, it depends, right? So there was a whole thing where it was like people were voting on Nickelback or a pickle, and it was just like there's all these things. I think the lead singer Chad Kroger made some comment like years ago that he had developed a formula for creating songs. Like he could just write hits, and I think people didn't like feeling like, oh, really, you're going to control me? And so the whole band kind of suffered from that statement. Which the other day, I don't think he didn't mean to be arrogant, and that's I think how people heard it. It was more like he was just like, yeah, that's what I did, man. Well, Sting said the same thing.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing.
Gas the police now, like that's not going to happen.
And this goes into our conversation. It's all about positioning. Now, if the band's whole thing was we're better than you, and that's what our songs are about and everything, it could work. It's just like the people who all got canceled, the people who didn't get canceled but did terrible things have like that crazy stop. The cat just bit me. They have that like I'm better than you persona, and they just don't care. They're not going to apologize, and it's the people with more empathy and stuff but that made mistakes that got trampled on social media and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that pendulum swings both ways all the time, and we're all judging and switching sides and virtue signaling and all that stuff. So it's once you cut through the bullshit, though, it's pretty funny to watch.
All right, well, let's. I think we should call it here. Anything we should try to have like prepared or focus on? Actually, next week, the week after next week, I will be gone, but in 2 weeks.
Okay. Did I even create a calendar? We'll figure that. People don't need to watch us have our logistics, but yeah, dude. Just as like a final thought, I'm gonna think about style and strategy because I think that's how I would be comfortable, and I think I would want to disarm so that we're just having a conversation, which makes me think like, is it crowd work is a better fit than overall if I can actually learn how to do that in an effective way where I was comfortable, right? Because crowd work is effectively not having set bits all the time, right? You have
appearing that you don't have set bits. There's a difference.
Oh, really?
Because a lot of crowd work is you're asking questions to get to your bits, but it doesn't seem like it.
Oh, so that's like a mentalism.
It's genius.
That's awesome.
Yes, you're leading people to your planned material by the questions you ask and their responses and how you respond. You can set all that up and make it look like that's the crowd work that I would need to do, is where I have planned material, but I'm asking questions, I'm making little jokes, and then I'm getting to that material. But it looks like, well, if it's done well, it looks like, oh, wow, he just came up with a story out of nowhere. But no, I was planning to get there. You just didn't know it as the audience.
That'd be a fun idea to explore next time. Remind me, bring me back to that, and we'll talk about mind mapping, and we could actually like create that digitally and just see where that goes, because that might be a whole new thing. So
I think that's a good direction for you too.
Thanks, man.
All right. Well, cool, man. That's fun.
What day is today? Thursday. Yeah, we're getting close enough. Have a good weekend.
Yeah.